Hey ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing today? It is the Brokenly Hearted Poetic Devil Dog, but today I am the Brokenly Hearted Chef. So, I'm going to make something rather simple. Kind of the same thing that people had before, but just a little different. Beef Stroganoff. Yeah, I know, right? This is not sponsored. None of this stuff in this video is sponsored, so I will try to keep some of the product placement out of the viewpoint of the eye. So hopefully tonight I can show you how to make beef stroganoff just a little different than normal. That's what I'm going to do, and hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this little recipe. So we're going to start off with the ingredients. So now time to go to my refrigerator. Not everything is going to be on my refrigerator, but regardless, it's going to be less. Okay, so you all know what beef stroganoff is. Essentially, it's noodles, beef, and gravy with mushrooms. Well, tonight's dinner, very similar meal. So, I normally use beef and gravy for ingredients for this meal, but tonight, I'm not going to use beef ingredients. I'm going to use, cover up the label, beef roast au jus. Okay? I'm going to use beef roast au jus. I'm going to use this for the gravy mix. This is going to be part of the gravy mix. It's going to be beef and ale stew gravy mix blend. 3 variety marital mushrooms that have been marinated in whatever. Beef stroganoff mix, and Salvadorian sour cream. Okay? That's what I'm using to make this. So, and for the egg noodles, broad egg noodles. This ain't just egg noodles. I'm going to be using just some egg noodles. Okay, so let's get started with this menu. Let's do it simply and plain, okay? Alright. Okay, so we've started the preparations already for my meal. So, I'm going to cut these mushrooms and I'm going to get started with this beef. Now this beef normally can be cooked in the microwave, but we're going to take it a step further and do it in the pan behind me. So, you're going to see me make some preparations. Hopefully you guys can all see me, but I will probably move it closer to the actual stove so you can see me better. Ready to be moved? Here we go. Alright, there. Sorry, it's not perfect. But enjoy. So, regular 10-inch skillet is what we're using for this. This 10-inch skillet, just a regular one, nothing special about it. So we're gonna do some biopsy. I'm gonna cut this thing open. Well, not a biopsy. We're gonna gut this thing. Got it. There we go. I'm just gonna toss this in here. Fat juices and all. And that's right, all these juices are just going to show up in here the way they are. I'm just going to empty this all out of here, and then I'm going to, since all the juices are not out of there, neither is everything else. So I need to cut it open some more. There we go. Alright. Okay. Okay, so now that's open. I'm going to grab my little towel. Okay. So you wipe down. One spatula is going to scratch up the thing. I'm just going to break it apart really fast. Give it a good push it hard. Not a lot of beef in here, but it should be just fine. Alright, now turn it on to number C5. Just get it started real fast and break it down as best as we can. So let it cook. Once it starts heating up, then we'll add the rest into the mix. So, one more paper towel. I'm going to set it here. Okay, now we move on to the mushrooms. So the mushrooms are a little bit whole, so I got to cut them up really fast. So I'll do my best to do some quick fine chopping because whole mushrooms are not really easy to eat. And I won't do anything special. I won't cut them up huge or cause too many problems. So I'm just gonna probably pause this while I do this since it is a bit longer process and you don't want to hear me talk. Okay, so the mushrooms are cut up. The beef is getting itself moving along. Let's see what we're doing with the beef, shall we? Okay, so the beef is cooking slowly but surely. Now we're gonna give her a good toss. So, see if she's doing okay. We're gonna part the juice steak. Here we go. Okay, it's heating up just nicely. Okay. So now that that's doing that, we'll add a bit of onion powder into this mix. We'll add onion powder so it gets that flavor of onion. And we'll add some garlic. And then we'll add the some of the onion and garlic powder. And you can all add to your own preference. I wouldn't. So that's why I'm just saying add as your own discretion. If you want to add either or, I add it because of the flavoring. So probably you guys saw it in a moderate amount, but that's okay. Get it all mixed up there together. Stir her up. Okay. While that's doing that, we're going to now have another pan. We're going to make the noodles. So, sorry, it's a little noisy in here. Apologize. We get the noodles going at the same time. Also going to preheat the oven up to for some biscuits that have been homemade and pre-frozenly made up. You can do homemade biscuits, rolls, or whatever one chooses to do. It's at one's discretion. So if you like rolls, biscuits, croissants, whatever you want to do with your meal, it's totally one's own reference to which they like. Now, for myself, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil with roasted garlic flavor. And I'm going to turn it on to number high. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to help the boiling process. There we go. Alright. Now I'll add the Stroganoff beef mix. Part of it at least, not all of it. I don't want to, because there's not like a huge lot amount of meat in here, so I'm going to add part of this. The rest I will set aside for now. I'll give it a good stir. Unfortunately, now I also have a problem with smoke. Hopefully this will go away. If it does not, then I have to turn on the heater. So I'll stir this up into here. I'm going to have to turn my fan on, folks. Sorry about the noise. Alright. So the beef stroganoff mix is being mixed together. It's slowly coming together. And when I do the beef stroganoff mix, we're going to add the mushrooms. So they're all going to be flavored in together. So the variety mushrooms have varieties and oil and some lovely seasonings in them. So, stir those bad boys up in there. Just let them add itself together. It's going to be a little thick, but that's okay because then we'll add the milk. I think we're supposed to add some milk, a cup of water. So, I'm not going to add a cup, but I'll add some water. At least enough to get the thing going. Okay? Add the water. 1 cup. The rest of the seasoning. Boom. Okay. Alright. Alright. Stir this all together. Let it do its thing. Hopefully. Go. Now you're all probably what this looks like, and I'm going to show you. Alright. So once I get this stirred up, there we go. Perfect. Alright. So, what does this look like? Well, I'm going to show everybody what it looks like. So this is the process of it. Hope that looks okay. It's not perfect. But that is the beef stroganoff mixture to which I've started with. Now I will be adding some Italian seasonings into that mix, but yet is more to come. So I'm going to preheat the oven, and I'm going to get it going. And right now I'm going to pause it because it's still in the mix of getting work done. And the rest of it's a little bit slow. So, enjoy waiting for the rest to get done. So I'll see you in a few seconds. So the noodles are cooking along just great, and now we're going to add that little gravy stew seasoning that I talked about, that little beef and ale stuff. Not the whole thing though. We don't want to overpower it with gravy, but it is, has that ale smell. So we're going to add a little bit of this. Actually, I guess it is more than I thought. So we take this and we stir it up so it actually sits in there and simmers, so it's flavoring. Hopefully it's going to taste good. We'll find out at the end. So I'm going to give this a good stir. Alright, now I'm just going to do this, stir that really well. Alright, the noodles are almost ready to be boiled. I smell the aleness, hopefully it will cook out of itself. I'm going to add a little bit of Italian seasoning. Just a smidge of seasoning, there we go. Okay, alright. Catch more onion powder. Just add a little more onion powder. And some ground pepper, black and white pepper, ground. So I'm going to grind this up in here. So, okay. And there we go, perfect. Now I will stir that together. Okay. Alright. So there she is, stirred up. Nice. Evenly. The water's boiling on this side. Alright. So, bit of tidbit when you cook pastas or anything of that nature. Add salt. Makes it boil a little bit quicker. So, dinner will be ready here momentarily. This meal is quick and easy, not a lot of ingredients, and not really expensive if you think about it. So in comparison to something you get at a restaurant. So this beef stroganoff meal is different by a couple different standards because usually beef stroganoff has a few ingredients, but this one I went above the par. I added unique roast beef au jus. I added a different ingredient than regular gravy or the beef stroganoff mix. I added it extra with a particular type of brown gravy, beer, beef stew, ale mixture. So that's different. I also added specialized marinated mushrooms, a variety of them, which you don't have to do the exact same thing. And I'm adding uniquely Salvadora Mexican sour cream. That's also going to be different as well. So everybody can do something differently. I'm making these homemade biscuits, as I mentioned, through different aspects. So these are the biscuits. Look standardized, which they pretty much are, but these are the biscuits I'm adding to my mix. So I'll be making biscuits, and I have peas and carrots that are already sitting in the microwave, ready to go. So here in a few minutes, I'm going to get these noodles in there. Then after that, I'll let this thing sit here. Once that's all done, I'll get back on here, mix it up, sample it, and let you know what I think. And I'll see if this concoction works. And like I said, I've done it before, but this is a little different for me. So, I'll see you in a few minutes. So while that finishes up doing what it's going to do, I'm going to talk about a few things. Frugal shopping, especially during this time when we are budgeting ourselves, and how the world is under a chaotic notion, and we are under a pandemic and quarantine and other serious issues. So when you buy meals and you're cooking for yourself healthy wise, you got to look at the bigger picture. There's always going to be harder to do, and depending where you live at too, in which state, which city, and your financial resources, or where you get it from. Food stamps, your workplace, your college student, your single mofo, whatever it may be. You have to be careful. But if you want to be able to eat healthy, like this meal here, it's not 100% healthy, but it's healthier than I would if I were to do a TV dinner or a boxed frozen singles meal. Whether that, not saying TV dinner, I'm saying things like banquets, enchilada or lasagna or encores or things of that nature. This meal here only cost me in a grand total scheme with noodles, everything else, about $8 in total. Not very expensive if you ask me, but that's on my end. So, when going out and having healthy meals rather than frozen or otherwise, look what you can do and be creative so you don't have the same dishes. But if you like the same dishes, by all means, continue. But if you don't, you can always spice up life by trying new ideas and fusion foods. So, I'm going to come on here more often than not and try to conjure up recipes that are basically fusion foods. I consider myself an improvised gourmet fusion chef because I like trying new stuff. Alright, well that's it for right now, my little commentary section. So while this meal finishes cooking up, let's look at the history behind beef stroganoff. The origins, where it comes from, it's actually place of origin of country, and who possibly came up with the idea. I'm actually kind of curious to know this too, because might as well. So let's take a look at this. The origin and history behind beef stroganoff is an excellent lesson in food lore. While historians generally agree that it takes a name from Count Stroganoff, a 19th century Russian noble, there are conflicting theories regarding the genesis of this classic dish. Certainly there are evidence confirming the recipe predates the good Count and his esteemed chef. The use introduction dates in the print to the 1930s and the 1950s and 60s. Beef stroganoff is considered a trendy dish. Shortcut versions promoted by food companies proliferated. Despite the illusionary of the name Stroganoff to Count Paul Stroganoff in the 19th century, the actual correct name, I want to make it very clear to you, is not Paul. It's Pavlov. Pavlov Alasky Samvashky Stroganoff is an 18th century noble. So, the guy was, I guess, in love with whatever he had. It's an old-timey dish, and I mean really old-timey, by the way, and how it happened, but it all depends on where it comes from. Okay? There are other versions that call for tenderloins, cottonies, whipped cream, or whatever, but it's actually good. Okay? You know? Anyways, I'm not going to go into what he looks like, by the way, but this dish was originally created to be the most simple things and delicious in its own right. And so, alright. So getting back to the basics of it though, they had similar dishes back then. They were a little different in everything that it was made out of. Now, each of these dishes were made differently depending on how it was actually looked at. Some did it differently in England or France or wherever else. But when it came to America, it was essentially just as such. It was nothing huge or out of its way. It was very simple and not bad at all. Okay? It was lean beef sauteed and served in sour cream with onions and mushrooms. The recipe and its origins has been known, like I said, back where I talked about. So they made it differently depending on where it came from. Alright? 9 times out of 10, it came with mustard sometimes. That's one way to make it as well. Some made it with, let me see here, just I'm looking over. The American style is basically made this way, okay? United States, 20th century, blah, blah, blah. American cookbooks, canned soups, readily exchanged. Traditional ground beef was even quicker. Tomatoes, tomato soups, etc. But it depends. So the dish also has been made with brandy as well, like a liquor and alcohol. Hence why I decided to do the ale version with brown gravy and mushrooms. I'm trying to go back to its original origins somewhat by infusing a little bit different flavors. So, I guess we're going to find out now, aren't we? How well this actually tastes original. And no, there are no onions because I'm allergic to onions. You can add them at your discretion, but I did add onion powder. So, deal with it. Okay, so the noodles are done. Now I'm going to get the started with the peas and carrots. So, now we got that done. We're going to take this off the burner, turn it off. We're going to take this, and we're going to, so here's the Stroganoff stuff, folks, so we're going to do this on live kit. Ready? Here we go. Okay, it's not all going to go in there. Spatula. Spatula. I think that's what this is. Pretty sure if it's not, then I guess I get it wrong, and I get not a gold star. So I'm going to scrape everything loose out of here so it all comes out. Yum, yum, yum. So I don't lose any of the flavors or any of the excess stuff. Okay, there we are. So, that's everything. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to sit down on my crapper here, and I'm going to stir it up. Alright? Then we'll add the sour cream base into this. Once everything is stirred in here thoroughly. So I have to stand up for this. Requires a bit more standing. So now we have the sour cream. Just gonna add all the sour cream that I can. I may have to scrape some loose. That's alright. Okay, that's all the sour cream in this bad boy. My hands are probably dirty now. That's all our sour cream. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to let my hands off. Go back to stirring this bad boy. Sorry, my cats are playing around in the background. So, gonna give this a good stir. So that way it's all mixed together. And I'll put her back on the burner. So she's going to cook a little bit longer while the rest does its thing. So, this looks really good, by the way. So you guys want to take a look what it looks like? I will gladly show you. Let me get out the limelight of what it looks like. So, this is the somewhat end result. That's what beef stroganoff looks like. So, take it all in. Okay, so there's also one more ingredient I'm going to add, which originally adds back to the original with mustard. We're going to add Dijon horseradish. No, not a lot, just a splooge, which is a weird measurement, but that's what I call it. I'll show you what a splooge is. So I'm going to add what is, so it is horseradish, mustard. You know what? No, Dijon mustard. Dijon mustard sounds more appropriate, I think. Horseradish would be too much. So, we're going to add a splooge of mustard. Or just whatever's left in this container, I guess, because it's not a lot of mustard in here. Okay, so whatever mustard was left is what was used, but only that much, because it's one of the original dish. Yes, it is, folks, that is right. I read the recipe itself of the original origin. So, that gives that flavor. Now back on the burner she goes. And we're going to put her on like a 3 or 4 so it cooks in a little bit better. So, I'm going to give this a good stir. Let it heat itself up just a bit more longer while the biscuits finish. And the vegetables, which are almost done as well. So as soon as that's all done, we're going to wrap this up and eat. Sounds good, doesn't it? I hope so. So, please stand by. Alright, now it's time for the plating and sampling of this delicious meal. The vegetables are done, biscuits are almost there, and now we try the dish. Savigny. Alright. Serving. Okay. Alright. And this is the end result, folks. Look, does that look good or what? It looks delicious. Maybe, maybe not. Alright, we add a dollop of sour cream just for extra measure. Just a good old splutch of this and just boom, boom, boom. This looks sour cream. Okay, spoons off. Alright. Vegetables aren't that remarkable, so I'm not going to worry about them too much. So here we go. So the sour cream, everything's on there. It's the plate. So now I'm going to give it a quick toss and see what's on here. Has an alcoholic taste, like I mentioned. Oh yeah, that's to die for. This meal, I believe Pavla Stroganoff would be very proud of this meal. It has all the great qualities of a different, authentic, like tasting like alcohol, and it was cooked with variety mushrooms. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you cook somewhat fusionized, authentic Russian origin from the Empire Russian Stroganoff, or whatever. All right, good day and good night, folks.